So you can see I drew a square on this log to see how big of a cant I can get. And I just do that because you don't waste cuts. You know, like if you just keep going down, you're cutting through the bark and everything too much. Like, see all this dirt here? I gotta get this off because this dulls the blade. But I find if you draw a square on it, yeah, just go look this way. Can you see it? Yeah. It shows you what you're gonna waste and just saves you cuts. It's a lot better. So now, if I can position this thing like this. All right, so to see how good you are, good job, Sonny. You can get a diameter here. We got, if you come in off the bark, about 20 inches, 19 inches. Okay. So you got 19 inches in diameter. And then you go in this app. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Probably not. It's called Timberlog. And you put the length of it. I believe this is 10 feet. You put the length of it, 10 feet. Put the diameter, 19. You should get 140 board feet out of this log. So we're gonna go by my marks and mill it and see how many board feet we get out of it. So this is a manual mill. You know, you got to move everything by hand. So I'll cut the top off, and then I'll use the tractor to roll it over. And then I'll cut the bottom off. And then this is still going to be pretty big, pretty hard to handle. So I might have to actually stand it up on its 90-degree edge with the tractor as well. 2 guys and a couple cant hooks could probably do it, but I'm by myself, so I'll just use my tractor. You can do it with your cant hook, but you can also blow your lower back out, your Achilles, just get frustrated, so just use the tractor. And yeah, we'll see how we do. And then once I get down into the cant here, we'll see how big we're gonna make it. Usually we get to a finished size then, and I'll go over all that. But for the next 15 minutes or so, just gonna record me milling this, rolling it with the tractor. I like to mill the top, flip it over 180 degrees and mill the bottom. That way when I stand it up, I can use a speed or a framing square on the bunks and also have it sit against the uprights. Some guys do it 90 degrees at a time, but then you don't really have 2 flat sides. One either to sit against the bunks, the bunk stops, the log stops, sorry. And then if you use the flat side against the log stops, you don't have a flat side to square it. You can put it on there and use a level, but the square is definitely better. So that's why I do it this way. Sonny's over there climbing logs. I have a lot of logs. Okay. ridiculous. So the wind always blows from up there, down here. And it always blows the sawdust back in my face. See, you push right here. Wood-Mizer designed their saws so the discharge chute comes right out in your face. All the other sawmills, you push from this side and the discharge is on that side, which is really smart. I don't know why they did that, but whatever. So I was actually going to take this whole head and flip it and start milling the opposite direction because the wind always blows the stuff in my face. Except today, I'm burning a little bit of garbage, and so now the wind's going to blow that into my face. So it's a little smoky. So you can see what I did here. I did the two, I did it, flipped it over 180, and then I was able to just use my cant hook and flip it up. This is not that bad. If the log's real heavy or real funny shaped, it can be tough to flip up. But the reason that I do this, you can see, is I've got the log stops there, which gives me a flat edge to sit against, and then I just use the square on the other side. So this customer just wants whatever I can get out of the logs. This is a 14-inch width board is what it'll end up. So I'm not gonna cut this and flip it over again. I'm gonna start cutting boards right out of it once I get this top off. And then once I get down towards where the log holder and the stops are, I'll flip it over and finish it. So it's just going to be a bunch of 1x14s out of this log, and we'll count them, and we will see how many board foot we get. And Sunny! Oh, there she is. Sunny! See her coming. Come on, Sunny. Come on. Come here. You do whatever. Okay. I get stressed because I don't want something bad to happen to her when I can't see her. Okay, all right, let's finish this up. It's not fast. So if you watch YouTube and you see people just like ripping through there, and then you get your own little mill, you can cut faster, but you can't cut nicer. So if you look at these boards, I mean, there's almost no chatter from the cutter, only where it enters. I always recommend that you enter really slow because it'll dip the blade. But the boards are perfectly square, they're straight, and yeah, that's what you want. You can rip through rough sawn lumber, and it's hard to see on camera on YouTube just how good of lumber they're milling, but I actually do make stuff with the lumber, and I can tell you that a really wavy board, it's almost useless. And then if you make furniture or something out of it and you got to plane it down, it's a total nightmare. So get it as close to perfect as you can get on the rough sawn mill, and the rest of your life will be easier. Sunny, no. Dog eats everything. So it's a little slower. I mean, I could push this a little faster and maybe make the cuts a little bit, but if you just take your time, if you keep the rails clean, that's why I have a leaf blower. It keeps those rollers from, lumping over something. Keep the vertical rollers clean. Keep the belts clean where the bandsaw blade rolls, because all of those, any buildup on any of that's going to change the way it cuts. So try to keep it all clean. Just take your time. This is not a mill to make a bunch of money on. This is a mill for you to do your own projects. I agreed to do these for a guy, and I regret it because I really wish I was just making my own stuff. I have these concrete pillars sitting in here waiting to build a structure over my mill. I had a portable canopy over it. It blew down, and I can't even do it because I got to get this guy's stuff out of the way. And the amount of money I'm going to make, it's not worth it. I cut trees for a living. I don't need to do this. So I much would rather do my own stuff. Now, if you're cutting a bunch of live edge slabs and you're like, yeah, if you want to cut, you could cut a lot of slabs pretty quickly. You can cut, if I was slabbing this out in like 6 cuts, that thing would all be live edge slabs. As long as you didn't have to, dry them and then reflatten them, you could sell them for $100 a slab, $75 a slab. yeah, you can make a ton of money and you can get a lot done. You can go through a lot of logs. But with a mill this size, you just doing 1x boards especially. Now, if I was cutting these into 2x's, I could probably make a decent day's wage. But Sonny, think about it. If you're charging by the board foot, a 1x14, if you charge 50 cents a board foot to mill that, you know, that 1x14 might get you like $7. 2x14 is going to get you $14, and you do it twice as quick. So it's, you know, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. A commercial mill where you can run through these logs real quick, have an edger, that's the way to go if you're going to make lumber. I don't want to make lumber. I want to make stuff for myself. I want to build my own stuff, make my own hardwood lumber. But then I have a little wood shop that I make stuff in, go to craft shows, sell it, do some stuff for some customers here and there. I like the live edge stuff, making tables and whatever. But yeah, sell 2x4s, 1x boards, it's not lucrative. Now, if you dry it, kiln dry it, and surface it on 4 sides, and say you're doing like white oak and you're getting $10 a board foot, yeah, I mean that's lucrative. You know, you could turn one of my white oak logs into, you know, a couple $1,000, but you know, you got a year of drying, or you know, 6 months of drying outside, you know, a couple weeks in a kiln, and you got to plane it all and edge it and join it. So it's, and that wouldn't be bad, you know, if you're gonna do that for a living, that wouldn't be too bad. But this stuff, this softwood, rough sawn, green, nope, it ain't worth anything. Okay, so let's finish this up. But I agreed to do it, so I'm gonna do it. Come on, Sonny, you gotta knock that over. Come on, get down. Okay. So when you get, I don't clamp these pieces down. You know, they make a clamp. This is going to go down to a 1-inch cut down here. And they make a clamp for it. But I find if you don't take any of your boards off, there's enough down weight to hold it and you don't have to clamp it. Again, maybe those bigger mills ripping through need that, but this one doesn't. I'll show you. So I've got 140 board feet was the mark. These are about 12 board feet each. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, okay, let's do the math here. I usually get pretty good. But, so if you do 140 divided by 12, you need almost 12 boards. I've got 7, so I'd have to get 5. I'm going to go measure. So I've got 6 inches left from my mark down. And so to cut 5 boards, you need an extra inch. So you need 6 inches. So your first cut will be at 6. And then, no, is that right? No, wait, what am I thinking? No, to cut 5 boards, I need a 1/2 inch. Yes. Okay, that's better. So there's 6 inches there. So 5 1/2 would be your first cut. 4 3/8, 3 1/4, 2 1/8, and then 1 inch. So I'm either gonna I'll measure on both sides. Maybe I can get one more board. Maybe it'll have a little bit of edge to it. But so 6 5/8 is what I would need to get 6 out of that. So let me go see if I can do that. If not, I'm just gonna get 5. Well, so you can see that by not taking each board off, it keeps enough down pressure so I don't have to clamp it. It works pretty good. Nice and straight. Boards are nice and clean. Little ripples from the saw, but yeah, it looks pretty good. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got 12, 13. I got 13 boards. Let's do the math. So the log calculator said 140 board feet. We got 11.6 board feet times 13. I got 151 board feet. So even with all that cut off, now you could, if you really wanted to get every board out of it, you could have milled those tops and probably got a few 1x4s and stuff out, but in my opinion, it's not worth it. And I get unlimited free lumber. And if you do have a sawmill and you're wondering where to get lumber, I would just call your local tree service. Now, you're going to get stuff that might have metal in it, but get a metal detecting wand and check your bark and stuff. You're going to hit metal. I mean, that's part of it, but most of the stuff won't have metal in it. If you're dealing with oaks, it'll stain the wood, so that'll give you a heads up. The other lumber won't really. So, yeah, that's all. But I would call your local tree service, because if you have the ability to go get the logs, and you'll be like, listen, if you give it to me, I'll clean it up off site, they'll probably let you have it because it saves them work. And they have to, tree services get so much of this, they just throw it away. So that's one. If I was to quit cutting trees and continue to mill, I'd reach out to my local tree service, all of them. There's a bunch around here. And just be like, hey, listen, I'll come get the logs. Now, you're probably going to end up with a bunch of stuff that you don't want, because the deal is going to be like, hey, you take it all or you don't get any. But even still, if you were like, listen, I don't want the firewood portion, I just want the logs, and I'll take that for free, I would still give that to you, just so I don't have to deal with it all. But the sawmills, we can't really sell that much of it. Some of it you can, but it's just not really even worth it. And sure, if you're a guy that grew up splitting firewood like me, it seems like it has value until you cut about 3,000 trees a year, and then it no longer has value. So, but luckily I have a sawmill, and these are somebody else's logs. He dropped them off, but you can see right there's a huge pile of hemlock of my own right behind the tractor. And then I got a bunch more over there. I got white oak, red oak, cherry, maple, walnut, white pine, hemlock, sycamore, beech, lots of pin oak. We did a lot of pin oaks last year, some big guys. I like pin oak. But there you go. So it took me looking at the camera, messing around. So I had the stickers already cut. That's another thing. So if you were going to try and figure out how much money you got, well, you got $75 for milling that log at 50 cents a board foot. But then so if you sell the stickers at 50 cents a piece, you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you might get, and that's all you need. So you're looking at like $80 some to mill that log. And milling stickers, you have to charge for them because it takes just as long to do that as anything. So is it worth it? To me, no. But to somebody else, now there's bigger mills that could have milled 3 of those in the same amount of time. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good, 200 some bucks an hour. But for me, $75 an hour, it's not worth it. But there's a lot of messing around that goes into it that you don't see. I just put a log on there and milled it, but there's a lot of messing around. So, you're going to waste 2 hours of your day just messing around, changing blades, sharpening blades, cleaning up. That has auto feed on, which makes it nice. It's not 100% trustworthy, and the rails aren't perfect. So, and then plus, if you hit different parts in the log, it'll stop it. But you can't run it on enough power to just breeze through, because you'll get waves in your board. So, but it is nice because I can multitask and keep up with the other stuff that a second guy would be doing. But yeah, if you had to pay a helper $20 an hour and you paid them legit on the books, you're at $30 an hour. So your take home with the machine is $50 an hour. It's not bad, but really there's a couple hours there you're not going to get paid for it, and you're going to pay labor out, and there's a lot of run around. Then if you got to go get the logs, that's part of the deal. So again, cutting slabs, 2x boards, slabs, even beams, custom beams, stuff like that, all worth it. 1x boards, 2x4s, not worth it. Okay, well, I mean, I guess if you're cutting green white oak and you're getting $3 a board foot, yeah, it's not too bad. But you know, all right, that's it. I go. Sonny's my little buddy, but yeah, that's it. That's basically the whole process in milling a log. What I do.